Hola and welcome to a new episode of the Roofless Dog and Pony Show. I am Julio Panicello, the dream alchemist at Roofless Painters. We are an art school and gallery for nomads and misfits. And I'm going to be your host for this presentation. Yay! Hi, everyone. So, in each episode, we discuss what we are about to paint. We also talk about why we're going to paint it. We introduce the theme of the painting collection we're getting ready to work on. We do one painting collection a week. I think this is going to be the 13th since we started 2021. We talk about the genesis of the concept, its contemporary context. We also reflect on the form it may take on our paintings. In addition to all that, we also bring stylistic and historical references as inspiration in the form of paintings from the past or by contemporary artists, and also to finish this quick introduction so everyone gets a little bit of time to sort of like come in. Our episodes are from live. They are somewhat unscripted. They are messy and unvarnished, just like our paintings. So you can find them all on Instagram, on our Instagram page, Roofless Painters. We have a YouTube channel where we put all the inspiration videos, all the Dog and Pony Show episodes. You can subscribe to the channel and like the videos if you are so inclined. And if you are not watching video format, we also record every episode as a podcast. So you can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. Also, you can go to any podcast platform. You type Roofless Dog and Pony Show, boom, you have a few episodes there, and you can just listen to the episodes while you're driving or while you're walking, or if they're perfect for falling asleep. And finally, the last thing we're going to say as part of this introduction is that we host Clubhouse conversation, or a conversation in Clubhouse after the Roofless Dog and Pony Show. So we can just talk about the presentation. You can ask us questions. We can ask you questions. And we would love for you to join us, because this is going to be our second room that we're hosting in Clubhouse. You just have to follow us, and then we'll invite you in, because we are keeping those conversations and rooms private and closed. So how about that for an introduction? I'm going to try to keep everything under 30 minutes. We're very excited about this new painting collection. And let me just, first of all, it's going to be related to this image, obviously. So we're extremely excited that this Sunday we are heading to the Coachella Valley because Desert X is happening this year. Desert X is a contemporary biennial exhibition that features work from contemporary artists. It's outdoors, and it has to do with landscape, with natural resources, indigenous themes, tourism, and it's the third iteration of this outdoor exhibition. And we are excited because we approached the organizers, and we wanted to take the opportunity to go there and paint outdoors. So, mind you, 2021, museums are still closed. There's not really an opportunity to go to a place. I mean, galleries are open, but this is an incredible opportunity to actually be outdoors, paint, and see some art at the same time. So we decided to go to, there are several outdoor exhibitions, installations and we decided to select this one. So on Sunday from 12 to 3, we are going to stand right there. This is an installation by Serge Atukwe Cloti. Serge Atukwe Cloti. He is a contemporary artist from Ghana, and he works with. He's a performance artist. He's a sculptor. He's a painter. But yeah, he was selected to create or to adapt his work to Desert X, the Coachella Valley, and this is what the installation looks like. So since we are so excited, and since we think the theme or what he's trying to talk about is so important, what we are going to do is paint something that is related to this installation. So for those of you who already signed up and registered, this would be a perfect way to study the work and then get sort of like a warm up, and then we can just go step 2 and paint outside. So I will show you a couple of images of the installation. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, so that's going to be the view. And the interesting thing about Desert X is that the art becomes part of the environment. And that's how they're able to talk about environmental issues. And so this will be a conversation about environmental issues because Serge Atukwe Cloti uses a very specific material to create these sculptures. So this is container, a plastic container, a yellow plastic container that represents a lot of things for the people of Ghana. There was a period of time in the early 2000s in which water shortages were very pervasive in the country. So a lot of people didn't have running water. And Ghana is a country in Africa which is like it's a coastal country, and from what we read, there is plenty of there's abundance of potable water apparently, but for whatever reason, and a lot of people blame colonial history. There was not enough, or there was no running water. A lot of people didn't have water to use to take a shower or to cook or to drink. So what they did was they used this container, which was initially used to store cooking oil, to sell cooking oil. They used the container to walk to a place where there was water, fill this container with water, obviously not just one, but as many as they could, and then just bring it home and use it. So apparently a lot of people of that generation remember that generation. It was like, what, 20 years ago? Yes. Remember this part of the history of the country. So this artist, what he started doing, he started collecting these containers and creating art from them. So the idea behind this was to talk about the colonial past of the country. These containers originally were jugs or plastic containers that were used for military purposes by, I believe, the German military. And then they were copied and turned into this cooking oil storage or containers. But at that moment in time, people used them to survive. So what Serge Atukwe Cloti does, he collects this that are now discarded because people don't use this anymore, or the majority of people don't use this anymore. So there is a new problem in the country. These containers, this plastic, it's been thrown away, and I said that Ghana is a coastal country. It ends up on the beaches and in the water. So it pollutes the natural environment of the country. So this went from a colonial vestige that represented a very specific moment in time of scarcity in the country, and now becoming an environmental hazard. So this artist in particular decides to transform this problem by reusing this material and creating plastic tapestries. So this is the original source, and then I'm just going to do a close-up of the Desert X installation. These are pieces of plastic that are cut out from the original container. And then what he does is create these huge fabric-like coverings, and he uses in different ways. So one of the ways that he uses this tapestry is in a project. Let me see if I can find an image. Yeah, this is the image. I don't know if you can see. This is an aerial image, and this artist was born in Ghana. He went to art school in Ghana, and then he did some studies in Brazil. And then he went back to Ghana, and now he has a studio and a community of artists in one of the neighborhoods in Accra, which is the capital of the country. So apparently there's a big problem, a big real estate problem. There are a lot of people who cannot own private land because they don't have the paperwork necessary to claim that land. And Serge Atukwe Cloti claims that the land that he works and lives in, it belongs to his family and his ancestors. So he's trying to cover all the streets that he believes that he rightfully owns with what he calls the Yellow Brick Road project. And the Yellow Brick Road project doesn't lead to Oz. He uses a lot of like Western symbolism and metaphors to talk about contemporary conflicts. So anyhow, this carpets roads and streets in the area, and he involves the community who lives there in order to make this. He doesn't make it by himself, so he makes it with other people. So that's a different part of the project, but fast forward to Palm Springs, which is the location where this is installed, currently installed. The same plastic tapestry is covering these buildings, these two cubes, and bringing the idea not only of water shortages in Southern California. I'm going to bring some images of already people saying that this summer will face severe drought, but issues of ownership of the land, who really owns the land where the tapestry is. So when we get there, it's going to be in a public park, but then the public park it's facing indigenous land. So this idea of water shortage, climate crisis, pollution, plastic pollution, private ownership. We think this piece combines so many layers of very interesting conceptual themes that connects us globally with other communities that are perhaps facing these issues first. But here we are completely oblivious that, this will not affect us. And in fact, it is affecting us and it will affect us. But I'm just going to bring another layer of his work. And by the way, this is an image. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to bring another one. This is an image of the artist. He's 35 years old. And I'm going to bring this image because I think it's very powerful. If those elements were not enough to talk about his piece and what we're going to paint Friday in preparation for our field trip to Palm Springs to actually be there and paint the pieces from life. So he also brings gender issues in his work, which I find completely fascinating. So this is the artist himself, and he's wearing women's clothes, but he's not wearing just women's clothes. He's wearing his mom's clothes. There is a tradition in Ghana, a funeral tradition, that he's trying to bring awareness to, and also he's trying to change. When the matriarch of a family passes away, someone collects all the clothes and belongings, and they get locked up for an entire year. And after a year, they get released only to the daughters or the women in the family. Serge Atukwe Cloti is a single son. It's a single, it's a single sibling, I guess. I'm sorry, a single person. I'm sorry, no, a single son. So technically, this funeral tradition would forbid him entirely from having his mother's possessions, essentially. And from interviews that we watched, we sort of like got the sense that he is really pissed about that, and he feels that there's not really it's not really fair. So what he decided to do, his mom passed away. We need to find out exactly the situation, and we will tomorrow, Jen, when you join us as well. We're just going to talk about it. So he grabbed his mom's clothes. He put his mom's clothes on, and he walked on the streets of Accra, the capital of Ghana, essentially in drag. And he wanted to just make a statement about the funeral rite that he wasn't agreeing on. And he also called his friends, his community, and they did the same thing. So this is an example of him wearing his mom's clothes, and he saying, just gonna see if I can try to find the interview, that he would feel her presence. He was able to smell her presence, her touch, the same clothes that he would touch when he was a little boy. And we just got chills like listening to it. But at the same time, if that wasn't enough, the idea of him making a tapestry, in essence, a form of a textile medium, or creating a textile medium, it's a way for him to break the gender divide between what is this is an example of covering the streets with that yellow tapestry made out of fabric. He's also contributing to the idea of people really getting the now trash and then bringing it to him. He recycled over 30,000, I believe, containers already. I think there's a compensation involved with this. So there's a whole micro economy revolving about this artistic concept. Anyhow, so going back to the gender issue, the fact that the bearer of the containers during the severe drought, or the crisis rather, were women. So women, for whatever reason, were assigned the task of go get the water for the household. So he's also trying to bring awareness to the fact that this is traditionally a feminine role, and he is trying to break that association, or use rather that association with getting water, creating a tapestry, all these associations with feminine ideas or constructs of gender, and break them. And of course, we love that, but I think that's a different layer that he's bringing in with the recycling of materials. So I'm going to bring another example of what he does with the materials. He creates self-portraits. He uses the materials also as masks. We felt like in his interviews, there is a sense of elevating. I think there's another one, elevating the garbage, the trash, the colonial vestiges of the past into high art or highbrow objects, something that has prestige, something that is regarded as beautiful and expensive. His favorite color is yellow, and this is the beginnings of what we're going to do on Friday. He says he associates yellow with gold, yellow with wealth. So this idea as well of creating a tapestry of sorts, that, let me see if I can bring other images. Sorry. Well, this is an image of people collecting. I don't know if you can see, if you can see the image, maybe, I don't know if you can zoom in. And if you're listening to the podcast, we'll tell you that this is a photograph of a group of artists and community members of his community. Sorry about the repetition. And they are essentially hunting or gathering for the yellow containers. The people that you see behind the containers, these are his community the members, and they are dressed in drag, or they are in drag essentially. They are wearing women's clothes. Some of them are wearing heels. And so this performance, it's not just like, they did it once. They just performed a parade of them wearing women's clothes because they wanted to sort of like protest against the gender roles, traditional gender roles. Maybe gender roles that they were actually inherited from the British Empire. Because generally... what happens with certain views about gender, homophobic and sexist, misogynistic, quote-unquote traditions, they were actually not the original traditions of these ancient cultures. But they were traditions that were imposed by the powers that came to exploit these countries. There's rich history pre-colonial time of a wide spectrum of acceptance, a different definition of gender, and other stuff. So it's something that we still need to study, but our take is that he's protesting, or he's kind of like breaking down this tradition of women's clothes being locked up for a year when the matriarch of a family passes away. But yeah, those are guys in drag collecting containers of plastic containers that otherwise would end up polluting the ocean, and instead creating artwork that's being exhibited in many places. One of them, Palm Springs, this month. So another image of different uses. No, I'm just not gonna bring that. So anyhow, maybe that's a different. No, it's the same image. So this piece, it's titled "The Wishing Well," and it's titled "The Wishing Well" because just like the Yellow Brick Road, he's trying to bring Western references in order to sort of like poke us and say, "Hey, wishing well. What's a wishing well in Western Eurocentric, I guess, culture or Western culture?" If you think wishing well, I personally think of images of an actual water well, very bucolic scene, in which you either dump something in it and then make a wish, or you just simply make a wish. And if you haven't done that, I don't know. I think you're possibly not human, or you are a baby. But I have memories of going to water holes and making wishes. Yes, so I did it. So this is the quintessential, I would say, completely opposite image of a wishing well. The Snowflake Scene. Was it Snowflake? Yeah. This was created by hand by artists from the Disney studios. We tried to find out the actual artists who did this, but there's no authorship in Disney. When you work for them and you create art, you're not anyone. It's Disney Studio. So it's amazing that you can find artistic images anywhere else and your name is on them, not for Disney. So this is a typical image. Two white individuals of two genders, and then there is something bucolic that's happening right here. So anyhow, he takes this concept. I'm going to bring another one that's going to be a little bit more artistic, and one that I love. Gertrude Abercrombie was an American artist, and this is called The Wishing Well. She was from Chicago, and we love her work, and this is a representation of a well. It's not really a well because it's one of those, yeah, it is a well, but there's a different thing that comes here, or that pumps the water, I guess. And then she was a surrealist artist, but we love this rendition of a completely deserted landscape. There's no life. The tree is dead. There is a single cloud right there, and nothing's growing. And it's titled The Wishing Well. So we wanted to bring some references of images of how we associate the expression the wishing well from our perspective and our sort of like upbringing, I guess, or memory, and how different it is from this installation. So what are we going to do tomorrow, Friday? What are we going to paint? And by the way, I just wanted to also bring or relate this theme that I've been talking about, the water crisis, climate change. This is an image. Let me find the reference. This is an image 6 days ago, because we watched this, or we saw this on the news. This is a rancher in San Luis Obispo County, and he walks over a parched cattle pond. This was not recent, but anyhow. So we are facing a water crisis this summer. It was on the news a few days ago. People are already saying that this may cause a lot of fires, and we're going to have like a very challenging fire season, although some people are saying that because everything burned up last year, this will not be as bad. The drought is upon us. The California Senate is putting together a plan to keep it from becoming a crisis. They are talking about the reservoirs are just way below average. They are half empty. We're heading into a major crisis this summer. We're going to have shortages. Some people are going to have a hard time growing stuff. Some people are going to have a hard time providing water for animals. So it's here. I mean, maybe in Ghana, it's far away and we don't know what's going on there. We're going to face this crisis also here in one way or another. So this is a good example of how art can contribute to the discussion of what we're facing and how other people are facing it already and they're dealing with it. We love this connection or this bridge between different experiences, and so we are excited that this Friday what we're gonna do, it's just gonna be very simple. And by the way, let me just bring, do I have any other images? No. So what I'm gonna do is, this is another wishing well piece. This is by Jeff Koons. Don't ask us why. We just have our own opinion of Jeff Koons, but perhaps this would be a good opportunity to talk. This was a 1988 piece, and in Jeff Koons style, he didn't do this piece, and in Jeff Koons style, it's a gilded sculpture of a wishing well. You can see the arch, you can see the bucket, and then the bottom is meant to be a very ornate, imperial-like representation of a wishing well. And then there's a mirror, so you essentially face the wishing well, you see yourself. I don't know, his stuff is a little crazy, but this is the antithesis, the anti-climax of using a very inexpensive material that otherwise would be polluting communities, and then creating something much more interesting than just this piece. So This will be a very interesting. This is the jug, essentially. Like you can see a front view and a side view. But what we're gonna do here is something, let's go down to the actual theme. We're gonna do a study in yellow, and everyone who's registers, and we hope you guys register for this. Everyone who registers will get the same image. We always talk about how it's important for us not to repeat the images because we want to bring this idea of authenticity and being original and not having anything that's been reproduced or recreated by anyone else, and kind of like explore that and be unique. Well, conceptually, this doesn't make sense here because he's essentially using, the same material. And he's not only using the same material, but he's using pieces of the same material to repeat in a pattern and create something much bigger. So the conceptual idea here will be to just use the same image for all of us, and each one of us will do our own translation, visual translation of this gallon water container piece of garbage that now it's been turned into art. The idea would be to just talk about these issues. The idea would be also to mark this event. And also when we see this painting, we will remember ideas of like climate injustice and water shortages and drought and how it's affecting all of us in one way or another. And from the technical point of view or the painterly point of view, this will be a study of yellow paint. We'll talk about the different cadmiums, the different temperatures, what can we do to make it lighter or darker, different values, monochromatic, but perhaps we can just bring some cadmium orange. So it's very hard. It's one of the hardest colors to paint with. And we thought this would be actually perfect to study the color, to bring the different variations of it, to use it a little bit more, and then to create a yellow painting. Sort of like stitching, using the same idea of like stitching together concepts like the yellow brick road and thinking about that metaphor, and also thinking about gold, for example, and how it was a currency that a lot of the empires actually sought, and how the transfer of gold from countries that had it to countries that didn't have it occurred, and then it's affecting still communities and governments and systems of governance. So anyhow, a study in yellow of a water container. Everyone will get the same image. We will repeat the subject, but we will create different versions naturally of it. So the interest here is to create a tapestry, sorry for the cheesy pun, of paintings that study the same subject but in different takes. Please register. Please join us. Please take on this subject, whether you come on Sunday or whether you cannot come on Sunday. I think this could be a very important subject to talk about, since we're heading to summer and temperatures are rising and everyone's freaking out already about water shortages here and drought and how it's going to affect our lives. And if you are considering joining us on Sunday, please register online. We're going to be there from 12 to 3. It's an easy road trip from here, LA, to Palm Springs. The space is gorgeous. It's going to be hot, but we have trees around us. We have parasols. We'll make it comfortable. We'll have the experience. We'll actually see the piece in its original or temporary place. There are other sites around that you may want to visit and take the opportunity that you come paint with us if you have time. And then it's an easy ride back before it even gets dark. It gets dark at 7:30 or 8. So you can comfortably drive back to LA on a Sunday and have an extraordinary, amazing, beautiful day painting with us. So we're going to take this conversation right now, and I want to thank everyone who joined: Denise, Vanessa, SS Broussard. Mia, how are you? Tauline Art, Artrabel Studio, Julie, Darlene, thank you, Laura, Emily, Lois. We're going to take this conversation to Clubhouse right now. Make sure you follow us there because we're going to open a private room and only people who follow us on Clubhouse will be able to come in the room. If you don't follow us, we won't be able to bring you in. And you can be a passive listener. You don't have to say anything, but we would love to kind of like hang out there because last week we started doing it and it was amazing. It was a great opportunity to actually chat more about things, and it was great to connect with everyone. Thanks so much. Register online. The link is on our calendar, rooflesspainters.com. You can see the calendar on the day. You can click, you can pre-register. We have like Friday and we have Sunday, and we would love for you to join us. It's going to be a fantastic experience. And bye everyone.